heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to a kitchen chair, she broke your throne, she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew
Baby, I've been here before. I know this room and walk this floor. I used to live alone before I knew ya. I seen your flag on the marble arch, and love is not a victory march. It's cold and it's a broken heart. Did my best, it wasn't much. Couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I told the truth, I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, stand before the Lord of song with nothing on my tongue but
I've lived my life beside you all, cocooned within your love. So friends and family, please don't cry. I'm still with you, now just up above. I know how much you wish I'd stayed. I feel so very blessed of all the people to have in my world I got the very best. You may think of me in your waking hours and on those sleepless nights. Just look out the window and there you'll find me, the brightest star, that dazzling light. I know how much it hurt your soul when we had to say goodbye, but I'm not gone. I'm always here. I'm your eagle in the sky. Good afternoon to each of you who have gathered here today. My name is Simon, and along with Brendan and all of the staff here at Parkside, we have been privileged to have been invited to care for Debbie after her death and to be a part of this service. And so I thank you, Tony, Red, Michelle, Shane, and Debbie's extended families for inviting us to be here. Could we firstly probably take a little moment to make sure our mobile phones are off or onto silent as our mark of respect for Debbie? There are undoubtedly some people who can't be with us today. And so I'd like to mention that we're thinking of them, and I'm sure they're taking a few moments out of their afternoon to think of all of us, and perhaps they are remembering Deb in their own way. For those of you who are joining this service via live stream, I welcome you also. Your presence is equally important to Deb's family today. After this service, you're all warmly invited to stay here and to join with the family for a time of refreshment, a time of support, and a time to share perhaps some of your own memories of Deb with the family and with each other. Debbie achieved in life, I think, what she wanted. She lived a life filled with love, with family, with happiness. That's not to say that she didn't face life's challenges, but they were minor in comparison to the joy that she experienced and the love that she gave to those closest to her. I learnt that Debbie was what you could maybe call a collector. She loved shopping, doing the rounds of the shops, and more recently, online shopping and Facebook Marketplace. Something she never quite managed to teach Red, I don't think. She certainly filled her house to the brim of all the things that she loved, Buddhas and eagles being just a couple of her favourite things or her favourite collections. I also learnt that Debbie's collecting didn't just cover material possessions. Debbie was a collector of people. She surrounded herself with people who she loved and who loved her in return. Debbie is the loved and loving wife of Tony, or Red, for 46 years. A dearly loved mother of Jodie, of Michelle, and a mother-in-law to Shane. A treasured nan of all her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. A loving daughter, sister, sister-in-law, auntie, cousin, and friend. And so today maybe these words come to us from Debbie herself. And it says, "Thank you for coming. I'm so glad you're here. We've got one last goodbye for me and those I hold dear. You might find it hard or unfair and sad, but it's a chance to reminisce about what we've had. It's not the end when we die, but one last chance to say goodbye." And so today we're going to talk about Debbie because we're proud. We talk about her because she deserves to be remembered. We talk about her because even though she is now not with us, she's never far from our minds. We talk about her because she is a part of us, and we talk about her because we love her. We always will, forever. Nothing will change that. And so let us begin to talk about and to share the story of Debbie's life and to hear about the influence that she has had on the lives of those who are closest to her. It was on Tuesday, the 8th of April 1958, that Henry and Thelma Stubbs welcomed their youngest daughter, Debbie Suzanne, into their family. Debbie was the youngest sister to Kay, to Gerald, Robert, Tony, Carol, Warren and Helen. Their little home in Truganini Street must have been full to the brim. I was told that as a little girl, Debbie was known as 5 cents, as she would ask anyone for their loose change so she could go and buy a big bag of lollies at the local milk bar. Deb attended school at Montello Primary and then moved on to Parklands High for her high school years. She didn't mind school, but I think it was especially the sneaky cigarettes behind the pine trees that she loved the most. Debbie was about 14 when she met a young man, Anthony Paul Wilton, or Red. Meeting through a brother-in-law Neville, who was seeing her sister Helen at the time. Many a night they spent holding hands in the back of Red's Holden, but we won't say any more about that. Red's written a tribute, and I'd like to share that with you now. Red writes to my darling wife, Deb. You were my shining light, my best friend, my rock. You were the best wife, the best mother, grandmother and great-grandmother to all of our children and family. You always put others before yourself without a whimper. You suffered the last few years silently, but you never gave up. You never shed a tear. You were one brave girl, and you will be sadly missed by all of your friends and your little dog Polly. You will always be in my heart, loved and never forgotten. Until we meet again in the bat cave up in the sky, may you rest in peace. No more suffering. Love always. Red. Upon leaving school, Debbie's first job was at the South Burney Milk Bar. I guess her interview was all those 5-cent coins that she'd been spending there over the years. She moved on from here after a time and started cleaning at Fitzgerald's before a back injury forced her retirement. In her early years, Debbie loved playing sports, and she was pretty good from all accounts, hockey and badminton being her two chosen sporting pursuits. Romance was still blossoming between Debbie and Red, and they tied the knot in Burnie. All up, Deb and Red have known each other for 52 years and married for 46 of those years. Red said, that's longer than 2 consecutive life sentences. Debbie and Red welcomed daughter Jodie Marie into their little family in 1975, and Jodie was followed a couple of years later in 1979 by daughter Michelle Louise. They had their pigeon pair and their family was completed. Michelle's asked me to share some words, and she's written, Mum, you have left us too soon. Those special memories of you will always bring a smile. If only I could have you back for just a little while. You always meant so very much, and always will too. The fact that you're no longer here will always cause me pain. But you're forever in my heart. Your life was a blessing, your memory now a treasure. You are loved beyond words and will be missed beyond measure. You were a big part of my life, and I thank you for being my mother. No words can describe the ache in my heart since you've left. I'll miss your presence more than anything else in the world, but your love and the memories will forever dwell in my heart. Until we meet again, rest in peace, Mum, your loving daughter, Michelle. And some words now from son-in-law Shane, who says, Debbie, my mother-in-law, a very special lady, very straight to the point, never asked too much of anybody, but always there to help out if anyone that she considered a friend or family needed her. In the past 24 years of being around Deb, we had some really good times that will never be forgotten, and she made me very welcome as part of her family. Rest in peace, Deb. Love, Shane. Been completely renovated, and Deb chose all the fittings and fixtures. She was so proud of her little patch, and rightly so. Everything had a place, and she home, a little bit under the weather, and Red walking just a little bit in front of Deb, only to hear a yell. And when he turned around, Debbie was nowhere to be seen, and so he wandered back to find her. And he did find her, upside down, in the middle of somebody's front hedge, just her feet and ankles poking above the foliage. He pulled her out, and they staggered the rest of the way home. Debbie spent apparently most of the next day driving the porcelain bus to Europe. She was known as Hedgehog forever after. Another time, Debbie went out on a bus trip to Launceston with some girlfriends, and the bus was leaving early, so Deb got up and got dressed in the dark so as not to wake Red. It wasn't until she was well on the way to Launceston that she'd discovered that she'd put on 2 black shoes that didn't match. And so she spent all day with her feet tucked under the seats in front of her on the bus so no one else would notice. And apparently no one did. Not that they told her. You'll all know Deb loved to drink. She loved to socialise. There were many, many girls' weekends away at Beauty Point in the shack with her girlfriends Gwenny and Suzanne, nights spent at the pub in their PJs, and karaoke sing-alongs. Not that any of them could sing, mind you. Suzanne has written these words, and she says, "Debbie, you and I have been friends since school. But as our lives took different paths, we lost touch. 13 years ago, I moved back to Burnie and our friendship was reunited. Over this time, we have made many wonderful memories. The laughter and the shenanigans on our Wednesday catch-ups at Gwenny's, our girly trips, the many parties and karaoke nights, never a dull moment. It was a privilege, Deb, to spend quality time with you while you were in hospital. And you said to me, 'How am I going to be without you?' And my answer to that question is, how are we all going to be without you? But you will always live on in our hearts and in our memories, and your passing can never, ever take that away. Today, it is going to be a great honour for me to be able to walk beside you one last time. I love you, Debbie, and you will be greatly missed. Rest in peace, my dear friend. Love always, Suzanne." Debbie's health has been in slow decline now for a number of years, but the last few weeks has been a fairly quick progression as her tired body couldn't fight anymore. And Deb slipped away in the early hours of Sunday morning, the 17th of November, 2024. Debbie will be remembered by all those who knew her as a kind, helpful, caring, a woman who had no tolerance for bullshit, and she didn't mind using a bit of colourful language if she needed to. She will be remembered for her love of a drink, a glass or two of wine, especially Moscato. A love of holidays. I was told about an eventful trip to Queensland that some of you might know about. And more recently, a cruise which she loved, and she'd already started planning for the next one. She'll be remembered for her love of shows and concerts. She'd go to almost anything down at the Civic Centre, and her love of country music. Debbie was a devoted, loving, and sometimes patient wife to Red. I mean, she did only throw your tea at you once, didn't she, Red? A loving mum to Jodie and Michelle, a mother-in-law to Shane, a loved nan of all her grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
You know my name. If I saw you stay here in heaven.
Can't believe it's over. I watched the whole thing fall, and I never saw the writing that was on the wall. If I'd only knew the days were slipping past, that the good things never last, that you were crying. Summer turned to winter, and the snow it turned to rain. Then the rain turned into tears upon your face. I hardly recognize the girl you are today. And God, I hope it's not too late. It's not too late. 'Cause you are not alone. I'm always there with you, and we'll get lost together till the light comes pouring through. 'Cause when you feel like you're done and the darkness has won, babe, you're not lost. When your world's crashing down and you can't bear the thought, I said, babe, you're not lost.
I played a party last night for some old folks. They were dancing and smiling at me, except this old man alone at a table, as if there's some place that he'd rather be. So I said, sir, can I play something for you? Something special that you'd like to hear. When he looked up at me, he was smiling. Oh, but his eyes, they couldn't hide the tears. He said, play me the waltz of the angels, and I'll close my eyes and pretend. Play me the waltz of the angels, so I can dance with my angel again.
I think it's important to remember that Debbie is still with you. There won't be any new memories to make with her, but there are lots and lots of old ones to remember, to smile about, again and again. No one can ever take away what you shared with her. It's important to talk about Debbie and to remember her, just as we are doing today. They say that the best and the most beautiful things in life cannot be seen or touched, for they are your memories. And so as we've come to the final chapter in Debbie's life, it's easy to say it's okay for her to go, to be free from the sickness and the pain that she's endured these last few years. But you will miss her, because Debbie is not there to care for you or you her, because she's not here to touch or to hold, because she's not there to have a cuppa or a glass of wine and a chat, because she's not there to laugh, because she's not here. This parting is bound to bring sorrow, whatever the relationship is that you shared with Debbie. And at this moment, I ask you to be comfortable with your sorrow, with your sadness, to let the tears flow if they need to, because someone special from your life is now missing. Debbie's love and the generosity in the things that she did for others will never be forgotten. A light has gone out without so much as a flicker, and all we now have left is the precious memory of how brightly it burned and the warmth that it gave us. A little poem I found says, "Remember that special people will always be ingrained in our hearts and our memories. Look through the tears, the sorrow and the pain. Reflect on the thoughts that you want to retain. Always remember, never forget. People live on in our hearts, and if you remember the person within, their spirit will never depart." As we've heard, Debbie was a giver. She was a giver of her time, her patience, her respect, her pride and her love, and just a few lifts home from the pub. And as the family come forward now and take a few silent moments with Debbie and place some petals upon her coffin, I would like to invite you to reflect upon what it was that Debbie gave to you.
I wish that heaven had visiting hours, so I could just show up and bring the news that she's getting older. And I wish that you met her. The things that you learned from me, I got them all from you. Can I just stay a while and we'll put all the world to rights? The little ones will grow and I'll still drink your favorite wine. And soon they're going to close, but I'll see you another day. So much has changed since you've been away. I wish that heaven had visiting hours, so I could just swing by and ask your advice. What would you do in my situation? I haven't a clue how I'd even raise them. What would you do? 'Cause you always do what's right. And we just talk a while until my worries disappear. I tell you that I'm scared of turning out a failure. You'd say, remember that the answer's in the love that we create. So much has changed since you've been visiting hours, and I would ask them if I could take you home. But I know what they'd say, that it's for the best.
And so finally, Debbie, we acknowledge that we must let you go. But just before we do this, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Debbie, for all that you brought into our lives, for all the things that we learned from you, from all the things that we shared with you. We are glad that our lives have touched and that we knew you, we loved you, and we were loved by you. We will never forget you. Debbie, how glad we are that we were part of your life and you were part of ours. How your leaving us brings such an ache to our hearts, but we know that we can do no more for you in this life, and our last act of care is to lay you to rest. And so today we've met to honour and to celebrate a life lived with your love of family and of friends who became family, a life of acceptance, a matter-of-fact, say it how it is motto, a good grasp of the English language, a love of music and bingo, and we are glad to be numbered amongst those who have loved you, who have respected you, and who have called you friend. And so we say goodbye to your physical presence amongst us, and we must commit you now. We commit you to our hearts, to our minds, and to our memory. We commit to the telling of your stories so that others may know you. We commit to loving you from now until eternity, and we commit to supporting each other through our loss of you. We commit you to the stars to watch over us, to protect us. And gently and tenderly, we commit you for cremation, eventually to return earth to earth, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. May you rest, Debbie, for eternity, knowing only peace and the love of your family and your friends. Perhaps these words may come to us now from Debbie. And it says, when I go, don't learn to live without me. Just learn to live with my love in a different way. And if you need to see me, close your eyes or look in your shadow when the sun shines. I am there. Sit with me in the quiet and you will know that I did not leave. There is no leaving when one soul is blended with another. So when I go, don't learn to live without me. Just learn to look for me in the moments. I will be there. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand?
Didn't know today would be our last, or that I'd have to say goodbye to you so fast. I'm so numb I can't feel anymore. I'm praying you just walk back through that door and tell me that I was only dreaming. You're not really gone as long as I believe. There will be another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. Always made my troubles feel so small, and you were always there to catch me when I'd fall. In a world where heroes come and go, well, God just took the only one I know. So I'll hold you as close as I can, longing for the day when I see your face again. But until then, God must need another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight, singing hallelujah. Just jealous of the angels